was. He was outstanding, but I'm sure that'll go down to the wire there.
So, and then another score coming in. Oxford need to win by 7 points. Obviously, that's what we're talking about, the bonus in terms of what they need to do. We've just been hearing news that, you know, we were talking to Jason Lyons about his belt drive
at the
beginning of the night. Well, he's having problems with him. He's changing now to a chain, I've heard. So
yeah, I'm surprised it's put a chain on. I'm surprised Jason's stuck in there so long, because to be honest, I did speak to him at the beginning of the season, and I feel that on the speedway they could be fraught with problems, but certainly...
You use the belt drive in the long track, do you?
I do, but we use a wider belt, which is a stronger belt. It's a 30mm belt. They have to use the 25mm belts on the speedway, and they're just not quite strong enough.
Got to have a good belt. My dad always told me that. You've got to have a good belt.
Character building stuff. Would you clip round the ear, or what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably. Heat 10, he's out, so he's got a little bit of time, but we're now at Heat 9. Let's get back to the action once again. Chris Louis and Tony Miller.
The meeting certainly building up as he moved to Heat 9, just 4 points in it, and none better perhaps than Jason Crump coming out in this one on the inside. But the busy Mark Lemon is just about to race his 5th Heat in 9. He goes as a reserve for Oxford in Gate 2. Thomas Jedrayak, the pole goes in Gate 3. On the outside is Steve Johnson. Mark Lemon so far paid 8 from his 4 rides. That reserve being very busy. A chance to look across the line, and there we see Jason Crump, of whom we've heard so much already tonight. I wonder if we get it right this time. The flyer from Crump and Jedrayak in pursuit would be ideal for Bellevue, Chris.
I certainly would, yeah. It'd be interesting to see if the referee deems Jason's tyre warming to be illegal in that previous race. I'm sure his tyre's a lot warmer than it was.
Well, there you are, artificially warming up the tyres as they go round. Away goes our starting marshal, up by the tapes, and Jason Crump's got a flyer on the inside. His teammate had parted. Jedrayak goes down the outside, and look at this, Bellevue 1 and 2, back in 3rd place in red, the Oxford captain Steve Johnston, tailed off at the back now, in blue is Mark Lemon, but this is going the way of Bellevue, and if it stays like this, it will level up after this heat, but there's quite pressure from Steve Johnson on the man in yellow, Jedrayak, in that 2nd place, Chris.
Yeah, Jono's going to keep applying the pressure. He doesn't want these guys to pull back on level terms, which they will be after this race if it stays the same. And Jason certainly seems to have found a setup now. Obviously, we heard previously he was trying a new engine early on in the meeting, which obviously wasn't working for him, but he's way out in front, looking smooth and confident at the moment. And yeah, Drayak's doing a job, keeping Jono at the back, but only just.
Well, he don't think he's going to do it unless he can pick up grip here, Steve Johnson. And really, there, I have to say, I'm not quite sure who was in the wrong there, because it seemed to me that Steve Johnson took the ground of the pole, but, well, certainly Jason Crump winning that in green. In 2nd place now in red. That is the 2nd place. 3rd place now goes to Mark Lemon in blue, which makes it a 3-all. But Bellevue will be desperately disappointed with that, because certainly coming round there, Steve Johnston, and I'm sure we'll see it again, seemed to interrupt the path of the man in yellow, Thomas Jedrayak, who looked set for 2nd place there. But Chris, the man in front has the advantage and control. He's allowed that, isn't he, I think?
He is, yeah. I mean, it's going to be a tough decision, I think, for our referee, that one. It's good to see Thomas up on his feet. He was doing a perfect race. He was out there getting the 5-1, but I don't know really how the referee's going to call it. It'd be interesting to have a look at the replay of that one, because certainly Steve Johnson was in front at that point, and it was maybe a little bit of 50-50, but we'll have to wait and see what he says. Yeah, we can see here now, this is at the point when Jono's just sneaking up the inside of Thomas Jedrayak there, and you can see now coming off the corner, Jedrayak decided to turn back. Jono's really only held his line. I think perhaps Thomas Jedrayak has to go. I'm not 100% sure what the decision is yet, but you can see Jono, he's coming around the inside, he's holding his line. You can see at this point Thomas looks up, decides yes, it's time to turn back, and it's all a little bit too late for him, and he goes down quite hard on that shoulder too.
Well, we've got the result. The referee says the result stands. A little bit unfortunate for Thomas Jedrayak there. Certainly now has to be content with last place. But Jason Crump, the winner. Steve Johnson and Mark Lemon, the Oxford-Aussie pairing, packing in 2nd and 3rd, which means Oxford still lead by 4 points at 29-25 with 6 heats to go. But I think that was a shade unlucky for the young Pole, Jedrayak.
Taking a look at the start, we're looking at Jason Crump as he drops the clutch there. He's looking down, keeping all his weight forward to stop the front wheel lifting up. He's made an absolutely perfect start, and he's way out in front. This is at the point where his team partner thinks about joining him on the outside. No, Jason hasn't seen me, I'll turn back. and that was the right decision. But Jason, as far as he's concerned, he's out in front and he's looking for the win, so it's down to Thomas Szejak to look after himself at this point, which he's doing very well right up until that unfortunate incident. Jono's now just making some ground up on the inside. He's riding the slick stuff, but he knows this place like the back of his hand.
Jane Abolagby has got the man that matters, Thomas Szejak, in the pits. A little bit unfortunate, Jane.
Thomas, we've got the screen here, the monitor. Can you come over and just talk us through it and see what do you think the decision should have been there?
I don't know who excluded it.
Sorry?
I don't know who excluded it.
Here it is. Talk us through it now.
No. Little Steve Johnson. Oh, you look.
Are you unhappy with the decisions then?
I don't know what the decision is.
Don't know. Have we heard what the decision? The results there.
I think no excluded. Who excluded this?
Are you hurt at all?
I think not I. I think Steve Johnson, eh?
Okay, thanks very much. Back to you, Kelvin and Jonathan.
Jakeby, I've been practicing my Polish and I know exactly what he was trying to say. He doesn't reckon he was in fault there at all.
No, and in some ways I'm inclined to agree with him. I think that Steve Johnson may have just been a touch hard on Szejak there. I think that it looked to me that Stevie was passing him anyway, and just at the last minute tended to let the bike run right across in front of him, and there's no question that Szejak was sort of on that line anyway, and he just clipped his front wheel and he went down. And if I was in that position, I'd feel a little bit aggrieved about that, to be honest.
Could turn the meeting on its head, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be, because it would have been a 4-2 at worst to Bellevue, and as I say, they would have been eating into that Oxford lead, but as it turns out, it's probably just a 3-all now.
We're headed for some interesting heats. Heat 13, of course, coming up. Lee Adams again, and I'm sure Jason Crump in action, and then Heat 15, and could actually...
Certainly Jason Crump's changed that bike. He explained to us that the first bike was too powerful. He looked very impressive in that last one, and it'll be interesting to see Lee and him go head-to-head again.
So let's just confirm the results of that one, which means that it's now 29-25. Crump is the winner. Jono takes second place. Lemon and Szejak obviously down on the ground.
Yeah.
And it could have been 27-all.
Exactly. So it's got quite a significant bearing on the match, because it would have been neck and neck going into Heat 10. So I think Oxford, certainly John Hall, the Bellevue team manager, probably feels a little bit cheesed off about that.
Well, as he said to you, no brakes, Kelvin, you know that, like everybody else, and there's nowhere he could go, is what was his point.
But I do know that corner, in Steve Johnson's defence, I do know that corner here. The track does tend to come back to you, and it's a scenario that riders can bunch up there. But a lot of work being done on Jason Lyons' bike there. That's quite a big operation to take the belt drive cover off, and the whole clutch has to be changed, and they've probably really been sweating tears or sweating blood in that pit corner there, because that's not an easy operation to do here in the pits. That's normally something you'd want to do in the workshop at home.
Yeah. Well, this could turn around for Bellevue tonight. They've got a sniff of it now. At the beginning of the night, you'd have said, well, the way Oxford started with that 5-1, you thought, oh, this is going to be all one-way traffic. Yeah. But Bellevue have stuck in there. Crumpy's riding well, and they're still in it.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy certainly can perform very well. He's been getting a lot of points of late. He's just got just over a minute left, so he's got plenty of time to get to the start. So let's see how we can hear him just revving up as he goes out the track. Let's hope that he can do some business for Oxford in this race.
Well, it's Adams and Dremel yet again. Ooh. Great partnership.
Yeah, they've been looking good tonight. They're 5-1 machine there so far, but Brian Carger and Jason Lyons had a 5-1 in the previous heat, so tough race coming up.
Well, Lyons has gone from belts to chains. Let's see if it makes the difference. Let's join Chris and Tony.
Dare I say it, will Lyons be roaring in this one, but 2-5-1 so far for Adams and Dremel when they've raced together. The line-up, Brian Carger the Dane on the inside gate for Bellevue in yellow. Gate 2, Lucas Dremel for Oxford so far with 6 points, paid 7 to his name for his 3 rides. Gate 3, Jason Lyons, all that work on his machine in the pits for the Aussie from Bellevue. And on the outside, another Aussie, of course, the 6 times Aussie champion is Lee Adams. This is Heat 10, 4 points in it. Oxford in front at the moment. Man in yellow there, Brian Carger, certainly impressive in a heat victory in his last outing for Brian Carger in Heat 7. But, well, almost anybody's racing this one, Chris.
Certainly is, yeah. Just hope that that exclusion hasn't taken the momentum out of Bellevue's efforts here.
Well, let's see if they can keep trying. Oh, nearly a movement. All sorts of things happening in the takes there, but in the end, in green, Jason Lyons will pick up up grip, but look at the Oxford man coming through from last to first. A tremendous ride by Lee Adams, who didn't make the take but came all the way through there, and now is going wide where there is some grip, and Lee Adams will extended lead in front of Jason Lance in second place. It could be a 3-all because third is Brian Carger, right at the back Lucas Trimmel.
Yeah, Lee Adams out in front, certainly using that dirt line, but we've got Jason Lyons just taking a look up the inside. You've got to be very fast around here to pass Lee Adams at Oxford, but that interesting first corner from Lucas Trimmel almost looked like perhaps he was under team orders to move out and slow Brian Carger and Jason Lyons down.
Well, it's going to be a 3-all if it stays like this, but Lee Adams goes into the final lap for Oxford in front. Lucas Trimmel struggling to make an impression right at the back, but in second place now in green is Jason Lyons as they go into the top bend round by the pits there now. And certainly a late challenge coming in for the man in blue, Lucas Trimmel, but in the end, certainly a comfortable win in red for Lee Adams. Green in second place, Jason Lyons for Bellevue. Brian Carger, his teammate, third in yellow for another share of the points, and it's still anybody's meeting at 32-28 in favour of the home team Oxford, but Lee Adams there providing his second heat victory of the night, unbeaten by an opponent in his 3 rides. Jason Lyons in second place, Brian Carger in third, Lucas Trimmel having his first pointless ride of the night. The 3-all makes it Oxford 32, Bellevue 28, with 10 heats gone and 5 to go.
Looking at it from the start, you can see Lucas Trimmel off gate 2. I'm not quite sure what he does into the first corner here. He looked almost like he was on team orders to move right out to slow the guys down. He looks like he's gone there for Jason Lyons. That's allowed his team partner Lee Adams up the inside, and Jason and Brian Carger. So wasn't the best move he's made tonight, and it's very important at this point, I think, for Bellevue to take those 3 points and stay well within reach of taking this meeting. You can see Lee Adams out in front, looking so fast again tonight. Taking a look at Brian Carger there, he's made a complete mess of the start. He knows he has, he's looking across to see who's coming. Nice move from Lee Adams as Lucas Trimmel's completely missed the corner and let the 2 Bellevue boys up the inside. They've looked like they were going to settle for second and third, although Jason Lyons certainly went after Lee Adams for the first lap. But Lucas Trimmel was coming at them towards the end there again. We can look at the style there of Lee Adams. He's looking so smooth, so complete. He's always so fantastic in these league matches.
Well, another tremendous meeting in prospect here. The crowd certainly enjoying the Bombers' summer evening, but they will enjoy even more the World Cup next month. 5 meetings. The final takes place on August the 10th at Peterborough. Great Britain's squad for that. You'll hear exclusively from us after the break.
Welcome back to Oxford. At the moment it's 32-28. Bellevue still trailing, but what a ding-dang battle we've had so far.
A ding-dang.
A ding-dang, ding-dong, diddly-ding-ding-dong. It really is. It's going either way, and it could change again. Bellevue, 1 minute they're, you know, getting very close, and then they lose another heat.
Yeah, they had a bit of bad luck, I would say, in that race with Thomas Jedrzejak. I think that it could have easily gone either way there. It was a tough decision for the referee to do, but you know, a little bit bad luck on Bellevue there, but all credit to them. They're back in the match. They're only 4 points down and certainly within striking distance.
Well, we said we got it. Here it is, the World Cup squad for Great Britain here in this envelope. Let's show it you. And it consists of this. Dean Barker, Gary Havelock is captain, David Howe, Paul Hurry at 4, Mark Laram, Scotty Nichols back to fitness, and that's great news for Britain. Lee Richardson, Joe Screen, Andy Smith, Smudges in there at 9, Carl Stonehewer and Sean Wilson.
Yeah, good looking lineup that.
And that is of course the squad for Great Britain as we head to that first matchup, and it's going to be in Sheffield.
Here we go, here's the 5 for the first meeting. Mark Lorham, of course, I'm sure he'll be in top form, looking forward to Sheffield, big track. Scotty Nichols, we saw him ride so well there in the Elite League Riders' Championship last year, came within a whisker of winning the meeting. Lee Richardson, so impressive in the Millennium Stadium in the British Grand Prix. If he can produce that sort of form, that's great news. Joe Screen, on top form for Eastbourne Eagles this year, looking good. And of course Sean Wilson, who's actually rides at number 1 for the Sheffield Tigers. I'm sure he's very much looking forward to the to August the 4th.
And a quick confirmation there for the World Cup Day 1, Mark Laram, Scott Nichols, Lee Richardson, Joe Screen and Sean Wilson. I suppose to many people maybe a little bit of a surprise, Sean Wilson. I know it's Sheffield, but there are others who could contend for that place.
Yeah, no question about it. Gary Havelock, the team captain, is actually not in that lineup. You've got Carl Stone here, who knows the place very well, would have ridden there regularly in the Premier League.
That's the surprise for me, is Stoney.
Is it?
Well, I'd have expected him to be in it.
Yeah, you could say there's a strong argument for him, but Sean Wilson is a particularly good rider around that track, I can say, and he's a home favourite. Certainly put a lot of people on the gate, there's no question about that, but I think that's a decent side. I don't know who's going to be the reserve for that meeting, but I'm sure that team, if they're all fighting fit, they can do a great job for us there.
And squad members, if you are watching, Kelvin Tatum is standing by just in case any of you can't make it, right?
I'm almost standing. Yeah, I'm almost standing. I'm very upstanding. But
and just want to let you up to date you on Sam Ermolenko. He is not fit, obviously, for this meeting, but get well soon, Sam. I know he's watching. He's injured himself, and he hopes to be back before the end of the season. That's good news. Let's get back to this meeting, though. Heat 11 coming up. David Howe, Kai Lauken, and Mark Lemon having a great night. Stuart Robson not necessarily having as good as one as he had on Monday. This is in the balance, though, isn't it?
It is very much in the balance. Mark Lemon's performances tonight are a little bit like the meeting. He's been up 1 minute and down the next. He had 3 heats earlier on and did very well, and in the last couple haven't been quite so impressive. But Stuart Robson needs to pull something out of the hat here for Bellevue. He hasn't really been on top form so far this evening. I think they're going to need him to perform well in this race. And of course, Kai Lauken looked good in that 5-1 with Jason Crump. So
I think I'll put a bit more pressure on Chris Lewis since Tony's done it already. Chris, we've seen, as we've said, a bit of a ding-dong battle tonight. Can Bellevue come back again?
Yes, it has been a ding-dong battle. You're absolutely right, Jonathan. And yeah, I think they can. I've been looking, studying the last few races. I think it's going to come down to heat 13. That could be an interesting one.
Well, we can now look at the lineup here now for heat 11. On the inside for Oxford, it's David Howe, the guest from Wolves. Kai Lauken, the Finn for Bellevue, goes in gate 2. Mark Lemon, very busy, his 6th ride of the night. That's on gate 3. And on the outside, Stuart Robson, yet to score as guest, but wearing Sam Ermolenko's leathers. An important heat this, of course, at the moment. A 4-point margin in favour of Oxford, the home team, with this and 4 more heats to go. Be an interesting heat this, and well, Kai Lauken won his last ride, and that was an important one for his team Bellevue, but I wonder whether he's capable of beating here both David Howe and Mark Lemon, the man in blue there. Mark Lemon, the busiest rider of the night, but that man in yellow, Kai Lauken, you see on screen now, already a heat winner for Bellevue. Chris, I think they were a bit unlucky with that Jedrzejak tumble, because it would have levelled it up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that decision maybe has taken a little bit of momentum out of it, but no, it's going to be John Hall's job to keep them going. They were doing a fantastic job of coming back up to that point.
See what happens in this one. Our starting marshal has been very busy tonight as Clive Urban, the way they go. And certainly a good challenging battle of that first bend, won by the man in blue, Mark Lemon. Round the outside, though, going from last and putting pressure to pick up first place is Stuart Robson, who's finding something. Back in 3rd place in red, it's David Howe. But here goes Stuart Robson, the guest. In green here, a tremendous ride by him now, cutting inside Mark Lemon. What a battle in this one.
Absolutely superb first lap there from Stuart Robson. Mark Lemon's out in front, but Stuart Robson's putting him under all sorts of pressure. He's moving from one side of the track to the other. That boy's got more moves than Michael Jackson.
Oh, down he goes.
One too many.
Scott Robson tumbles out of that one, and this will now be a 5-1 to Bellevue, because the referee's letting it carry on as Robson at the back gets his bike off the track and goes into the final lap for Mark Lemon in front, with in 2nd place David Howe in red, and this will open it up again and give the opportunity for a tactical substitution should Bellevue wish, but their battle is going to be intense to continue, and the winner there in blue, Mark Lemon, ahead of his teammate and partner in red, David Howe. 3rd in yellow, the consolation point for Kai Lauken, but it's a 5-1 in favour of the home team, Oxford, who now lead 37-29, an 8-point margin with 4 heats to go. Remember, the bonus point 2 is up for grabs, but a tremendous ride by Mark Lemon, his 3rd heat victory of the night for the Australian, and certainly playing his part here tonight, ahead of David Howe, his teammate. The consolation point to Kai Lauken, the 5-1 makes it Oxford 37, Bellevue 29, but unlucky Stuart Robson in last place, who tumbled off on the penultimate lap, and it could have been so very, very different.
Taking a look at the start, you can see David Howe on the inside. He's lifted, he's not made the best of starts, not quite got to the corner. Mark Lemon, who's had a very busy night, but he's riding very well at the moment. He's made the start, he's out in front. And here we can see Stuart Robson. He's found the speed. This is the Stuart Robson that we know from Coventry. He really does love that blast around the outside. The leg's gone back. He's looking for the drive. He's decided, no, I've got to get up the inside. Lemo's moved over. He's almost there now. He's got a wheel in front, but Lemo's just got that drive on the outside. Stuart Robson's spinning on the inside there. And he's just missed out. They come onto the straight. Mark Lemon's found the speed. Looking good out in front. Taking a look, I think this probably is where Stuart goes down. The leg's gone back. He's got far too much traction going into the corner at that point. Not where you want the traction, and he's just gone down. He's just looking there to make sure he's not going to get collected by anybody. Taking another look at it, you can see he's made a lovely manoeuvre. He's cut back up the inside. He's looking good at this point, up to the inside. He's just missed Mark Lemon's leg there. He's got very, very close. Mark's got his leg back. He's looking for all that traction. He's just managed to pull it out down the straight again. Superb ride from Mark Lemon. He took a lot of pressure from Stuart Robson in that race.
While it's developing a quite interesting battle, not only for the match result, but for the bonus point, of course, which had a 6-point margin in favour of Bellevue and Kirkmansune Lane earlier in the season. And Oxford need to establish a lead of 7 points at least tonight to clinch the bonus point. But I just wonder whether Jason Lance and Thomas Jedrzejak, who certainly were pretty impressive last time they raced together, I wonder if they could do it again. We'll have to wait and see here. But certainly Steve Johnston and Alan Rossiter will want to keep them at bay as the pairing for the home team Oxford. Steve Johnston, their captain, in the red helmet colours, and Alan Rossiter in blue already up at takes. That man coming up in yellow is the unlucky Thomas Jedrzejak, the 22-year-old, the young Pole. His best away performance this season was paid for. He's already got 3 points from his first ride tonight. With him, of course, in green, Jason Lyons, who's made a lot of adjustments to his equipment now. Jason Lyons tonight. Well, Chris, I don't know whether they're capable, but it rather depends probably on the nature of that machinery of Jason Lyons, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's had a few problems with the belt drive this year. Certainly, on more than one occasion, he's broken belts, and you know, he's turned to the chain drive again, which means he's changed the whole clutch, which can unsettle him a little bit.
There's the lineup. Steve Johnson on the inside in red. Thomas Jedrzejak for Bellevue, gate 2. Alan Rossiter for Oxford. His debut for his second session at the club. He's in gate 3 on the outside. That's Jason Lyons in green, the Aussie from Bellevue. Well, one of 2 Aussies, of course, from Bellevue, the other being Jason Crump. The 2 Jasons, as they say. Australian name if ever there was one. Heat 12. Herbert again, our starting marshal, the referee, Possum White, away they go. Tremendous battle on the outside. Jason Lyons in green will pick up speed. In front at the moment in yellow is his teammate Jedrzejak. It's Bellevue 1 and 2. Could they close the gap? The pursuit in red is Steve Johnson. Back at the rear in blue, that's Alan Rossiter. But down and past the first lap, past the starting gate again, is a tremendous down at the back goes Alan Rossiter at the back. Is down and really there. Bellevue will hope he doesn't stay off the track. And I don't know whether our referee will have to stop it, and whether Alan Rossiter is hurt. I hope it wasn't a tactical laydown, Chris, with Bellevue 1 and 2 here, because in third place was Steve Johnson, and Alan Rossiter's tumble means there'll be a restart, and I'm sure it'll be without Alan Rossiter there. But disappointment for the 2 riders for Bellevue, Jason Lyons and Thomas Jedrzejak, who were in front and set for a 5-1 to close the gap at the point that happened. But we never know whether it was a tactical lie down or whether he's genuinely injured and hurt there, Chris.
Yeah, it's a job to say in these instances, but the referee has actually got the right to call that the result if he decides it was a tactical lay down, but I'm not sure what the decision is at this moment. But it's not Thomas Jedrzejak's most luckiest night tonight. Every time he gets himself in a good scoring position, something goes wrong for him.
Well, I think Alan Rossiter will certainly... yes, Alan Rossiter's definitely been excluded. The blue exclusion light is on, so we know that. The referee has ordered a rerun with 3 riders without Alan Rossiter, so it will mean at least a 3-all for Bellevue, but they'll be looking for better, I'm sure, Chris. And as you say, it's an unlucky night for Thomas Jedrzejak.
Yeah, it is unlucky for him, and he's out there. He's got a race against Steve Johnson, which is obviously the guy that he had his problems with in his race before, so he's going to be looking for revenge, and he was certainly getting it at that point.
Well, there's Alan Rossiter. Yes, he's taken a tumble. You can see the leathers. It was perfectly genuine. My apologies to Alan Rossiter, suggesting that he might have needed a rest there, but he will need some new leathers, won't he, Chris?
Yeah, he will, yeah. He's... I don't think he needed that rest. He's looking as fit as he's ever been. I know you were looking at his weight earlier, but he's always been a big fella.
Well, I think we can see it again from the start, Chris. I think, or rather, as he came round at the end of that first lap, and let's see what happened to Alan Rossiter.
Yeah, it's good to see Alan back up on his feet. He looks okay. You can see coming into this first corner again, I think he's just hit a bump which has actually lifted his back wheel off the ground just as he was going to turn the bike. He slid down fairly gracefully, but you know, when you're doing that sort of speed on that surface, you can get a few bumps and bruises.
Well, if he faces a long walk back to the pits for the restart, he can rest and watch the other three in action when we get underway. Just hearing that World Cup squad, Chris, we heard Kelvin Tatum talking. It's a little bit of an odd format because Kelvin was questioning who is reserved, but the format for the World Cup means that all 5 riders actually race as 1 to 5, and the 5s in the 4-team events, which Great Britain are in, will race against each other 4 times, and only replacements you can have are when a rider comes in as a tactical substitute. So it's an odd format, isn't it?
It is an odd format, yeah. It sounds a little bit complicated to me, but you know, I think it's going to work, and I'm really looking forward to that World Cup. There's some really interesting lineups for every single meeting, so it's going to be quite an interesting set of meetings, I think.
Well, I'm sure we'll be showing them all to you. If you can't get to those meetings, go the length and the breadth of the country, we'll be bringing them all to you on Sky Sports. And we start on Sunday, August the 4th. But other meetings, Paul lead Eastbourne by 43 points to 35, and Joe Screen is set for a golden double in heat 14, so it's not all over down at Poole. We'll keep you pace with that result, and well, 8 points available. They can win it by quite a margin with double points for Joe Screen, and Bellevue looking for a 5-1 in this one now, and if they can start set away as they did in the original race of this before Alan Rossiter took his tumble, well, it would be 5-1, and then we'll have 3 heats, certainly of interest to close this meeting here. The lights start to come on. To confirm the lineup, Steve Johnson goes from the inside in red. Thomas Jedrayak, the young pole for Bellevue, goes from gate 2. The blank space in gate 3 is the exclusion of the unfortunate Alan Rossiter. On the outside is Jason Lance in the green helmet colours. And Jason Lance yet to win a heat tonight, but Brian Carger has. Jason Crump has won 2, and Kyle Alkinen for Bellevue. They're playing their part. Just 3 riders, more space on the track. Starting marker pulls them up. Jedrayak, the last to take. Up by the takes. Oh, Jedrayak is left at the start here. He's completely stalled his machine. Now this is going to make it even worse because he will get no points at all, because as soon as he's lapped, it'll mean that he cannot count in this heat, and it couldn't be worse for Bellevue, who are going for a 5-1, and now with Steve Johnson in the red helmet colours in the lead, it's going to be 3-2 the other way. How can a meeting change, Chris Louis?
Yeah, I can't believe Thomas Jedrayak's luck. He's going from bad to worse, but Jono's out in front now, and obviously Oxford are going to be taking a 1-point advantage from this race when really it should have been a Bellevue 5-1. But it's nice to see Jono out in front now. He's not had the best of meetings tonight, but he's looking fairly comfortable in this one. Jason Lyons looking to chase him down, but I don't think he's going to make any ground up on him.
The Oxford captain, Steve Johnson, set for his first heat victory of the night in the red helmet colours down the back straight. An anti-climax to this heat. He's now being put under pressure by Jason Lyons, coming off the bend, but Johnston holds on in the red helmet colours. Lyons takes second place in green. It's simply 3 points to 2 in favour of the home team, Oxford. The meeting now perhaps falling a little bit flat because it's 40-31, and it could have been so very different had Thomas Jedrayak been able to start, and his teammate Jason Lyons, well, they had a 5-1 for the taking when Alan Rossiter came off. And it's Oxford that have gained by that exclusion in the end. Disappointment indeed for Bellevue, who promised so much, and in that heat in the end achieved so little. Steve Johnson winning it ahead of Jason Lyons. Thomas Jedrayak didn't even get off the starting gate, and Alan Rossiter was excluded for that fall in the first running of the heat. Oxford lead 40-31.
Yeah, the guys are dropping like flies in this race. We started with 4 and then we ended up with 2. There's Thomas Jedrayak. He can't believe his luck. Looking down, I don't know what happened, possibly a chain, I think. He hasn't moved a single bit. He's got to be disappointed. You can see Steve Johnson, he's had plenty of room now off the inside. He's made a good start. Moved Jason Lyons over. I thought Jason was going to actually get the run on him there, but Jono's got plenty of speed, knows where to ride on this track. He's done plenty of laps around here now. He's moved Jason into the corner quite hard. He's gone straight for the dirt again, knows where he wants to be. Leg comes out, keeps that bike going around the corner, and looking quite comfortable at this point. Only Jason Lyons to chase him. Jason's still having a go. He's gone to that corner quite hard. You can see the bike bouncing. There's always a few holes going into that corner, but I must say, full credit to the track staff. The track looks in superb condition tonight.
Well, certainly disappointment for Bellevue in that. The bonus point now well and truly up for grabs, and Thomas Jedrzejak, well, I just wonder whether James Polish will be tested once again with Thomas Jedrzejak in the pits there, because to be perfectly honest, it isn't really his night. The Oxford fans are marking their programmes. They're marking them with that margin of 9 points that their team's in front. And they'd be pretty pleased with that at the moment. But with 3 heats to go, well, plenty can happen yet. But Steve Johnson, the Oxford captain, is with Jane Morrigby in the pits.
Yeah, Steve, it's all going your way tonight, isn't it? We thought we'd end up with a 5-1, and it was a 3-2.
Yeah, well, that's Speedway, isn't it? It's been up and down. I really expected us to have a bit easier run than we've had tonight without sounding funny, you know, with them having Sam out. But they've given us a bit of a push, so we're on our toes still.
That heat was certainly entertaining. You got 7 points in total. Are you happy with the way that your performance has gone tonight?
Other than my last in my first ride, it was all right, but I hate running a last, you know, so it doesn't kick your night off well. If you have a win in your first one, get a bit of confidence and you can really have a good night. But when you run a last in your first ride, it really gives you a kick in the guts. So hopefully I can come back from it.
I was going to say, you just got the win there, so hopefully you're going to come back and we're going to see some more excellent racing from you.
I'll try my best.
OK, thanks very much. Back to you, Kelvin and Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. It's a bit of a disappointment, really, because, you know, it was so close at one point, and Bellevue, you know, I think now I don't know how they'll run these last couple of heats, but they're not going to be in it as much, are they?
No, it's tough. You know, they've had a couple of bits of bad luck tonight. Certainly the incident with Jedrzejak when he got that collision with Stevie Johnson, that was a problem. And of course, in that rerun there, you know, they were having a 5-1, and all of a sudden his bike stops on the start. Stevie Johnson makes the start, and a 5-1 turns into a 3-2. So this man on screen now, Jason Crumb, a lot of pressure on him in this race. Really do need to see him hit the front for Bellevue.
Jason doesn't look as sharp to me, anyway, as he usually is.
I don't think the first bike he rode this evening was suited to this track, and sometimes when you have a couple of iffy rides, and certainly Lee Adams really beat him quite comfortably in their first meeting, he probably didn't feel quite as confident as he normally does. But Oxford need this 7 points to grab the bonus points, so they'll keep well, at the moment they're in the driving seat.
Yeah, well, they want to keep going at it now because the bonus point all important. Let's join Chris and Tony once again for Heat 30.
Well, it's 45-40 at Poole, so it looks as if they've beaten Eastbourne tonight. I don't know whether the bonus point was up for grabs there in Eastbourne's favour, but here it's Heat 13, no bonus point at Poole, I understand, tonight. But now, this is an important Heat 13. We look across the starting line. In green, Jason Lyons in as a tactical substitute. Delayed, of course, 2 races in a row. In gate 2 in red, that's Lee Adams. They won't go until Jason Lyons arrives. In gate 3 in yellow, it's Jason Crump. On the outside, David Howe, the guest for the home side in a blue. But it must be a 5-1 to Bellevue here to keep them in the hunt, not only for the meeting, but of course also for the bonus point. Jason Crump tonight is making his 400th British League appearance, an occasion certainly for him to remember. I think that Jason Crump in the yellow helmet colour there would like to have won the meeting, but he could celebrate it in a different way, perhaps with that Prague Grand Prix on Saturday, which we'll be bringing to you on Sky Sports. There is Jason Crump, his 400th British League appearance tonight. As many as you, I think, Chris?
Yeah, not that many. Yeah, Jason's he's got a fair bit of experience, and you know, the Grand Prix is not going his way at the moment. He started the season certainly as probably the favourite. He's not having it all his own way, but he likes to go with Bellevue and win. It was interesting to hear what Kelvin was saying, that by winning in, not winning in the Elite League, riding for a team that's not doing so well, maybe it's affected his Grand Prix performances.
Well, let's see whether it affects his performance here. Jason Crump in the yellow helmet colours. That man there is Jason Lyons. It is a tactical substitute. Remember, 8 points or more behind, you can bring in a tactical substitute. Already Jason Crump tonight has had such a ride. Jason Lyons now is doing just that. They're 9 points behind with 3 heats to go. This and 2 more. Representing Oxford in this one, Lee Adams in the red helmet colours. David Howe in blue. Away we go. Lifting on the inside in green there is Jason Lyons, but Jason Crump trying to pick it up round the outside, cutting back inside Lee Adams here, and he wins the battle of the Australians, of which there are 3 in this. Jason Lyons is back third, Lee Adams in second. Lyons is putting Adams under pressure. Crump out front, right to the back in blue is David Howe, but the 3 Aussies, 1, 2, 3, Crump leads Adams, leads Lyons. That's how it is down the back straight.
Yeah, this is just what Bellevue needed. It's It's looking good for the guys at the moment. You can see Jason Lyons is still really having a go at Lee Adams. It's very rare that Lee Adams gets past round here at Oxford, but Jason's certainly chasing him down, and we've got the other Jason Crump, looking real quick out front.
A real battle in second place now. It's not over yet with a lap to go. Nipping through on the inside is Jason Lyons. Adams closes the gate. Lyons tries the outside, gets grip, goes for speed, and gets it and cuts him up. A tremendous ride. Adams will probably come back again. It's still on in second place, but in the end, Lyons gets it, but just had a tremendous 5-1 indeed for Bellevue, created out of nothing there, and Jason Lyons in second place there. Lee Adams is not often beaten into third place here at Oxford, but what a tremendous race it was on the line. There's Jason Crump going across, and the second place goes to the second Bellevue rider there. A tremendous ride by Jason Lyons ahead of Lee Adams for a 5-1 indeed to Bellevue. It's 41-36 now. We can still have a lot happening here. Jason Crump the winner ahead of Jason Lyons. A 5-1 to the visitors from Bellevue. Lee Adams at the back, and the fans here are biting their nails now. So the Oxford fans.
We're getting plenty of action in this one, aren't we, Tony? It's from the start. You can see Lee Adams has actually made a very good start. This is where we should watch him. I think this is where his mistake was made. He's moved over far too wide. They've watered the track during the interval here, and he wasn't getting the traction he expended, which allowed Jason Crump straight up the inside. And Jason certainly went by him with some speed too. He's got all his motor problems sorted out. Taking a second look at the start, we're looking at Jason Crump. Plenty of action on that clutch. He's just using that to steady the bike, get enough traction without getting too much. There we see Lee Adams has moved out. Jason Crump said, "Thank you very much, I'll have some of that." Straight up the inside, straight into that corner, leg goes back, and he's pulling off the style there. He's done that with relative ease. I think this is where we're looking at Jason Lyons coming round the outside of Lee Adams. Such a smooth move. That's the sort of thing that Jason can do, but to do that to Lee Adams at Oxford is fantastic.
What a spectacular ride by Jason Lyons. He's now in the pits with Jana Morrissey.
Yeah, Jason, we can hear our commentary team telling us what a smooth ride that was. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I was getting a nice ride. It wasn't hooking up as good as what I wanted, you know, but just tried harder, you know, every corner, and ended up getting it hooking up, and, you know, caught Lee on a slick part, I think, so it's always good to beat Lee on his home track.
You've come second in every heat that you've been in so far.
Yeah, it's I've been struggling for wins for a couple of meetings now, and that's the first one for a long time, so I'm quite happy with that.
Okay, thanks very much, Jason. Back to the commentary team.
While heat number 14 comes up, we're looking for the rider replacement in red for Oxford, because that will be the crucial role. Mark Lemon's the man in blue, Brian Carger and Blair Scott due to go here. The rider replacement in red for Oxford there, we're looking down there now, is Lucas Trimmel. Lucas Trimmel in action here. Riding the red helmet colours. There's the full lineup. Mark Lemon in blue on the inside for Oxford. Gate 2 for Bellevue is Brian Carger, the Dane. Gate 3, Lucas Trimmel. On the outside for Bellevue is Blair Scott, who's yet to score a point tonight. And certainly on that form at the moment, it looks as if Brian Carger will be taking on the pair from the home side of Oxford. But the bonus point is still up for grabs. There's only 5 in it. A share of the points in this one will be still very much alive. Going to that last race at 41-36 at the moment in Oxford favour.
Yeah, I think John Hall, the Bellevue teammate, is probably still looking for the win, not just the bonus point, but the win. So it's going to be a difficult race here. I think Brian Carger is going to be the boy to upset things in this one.
Well, for any of our viewers wondering why they haven't put somebody in place of Blair Scott, of course, the reserve has to have 3 rides, and this is Blair Scott's third tonight. But wish him luck, the young man in the yellow helmet colour. He's on the outside. Heat 14, one more to go. The big name surely in that one. Away they go. Real fly now from Brian Carger. Just what he wanted. He wants his teammate with him, but nipping through on the inside in red is Lucas Trimmel. And now Trimmel is going to be put under pressure by Carger. Trimmel's teammate Mark Lemon's back in third place. Blair Scott in the yellow helmet colour is right at the back. But a flyer now from Lucas Trimmel, and this could be enough to win Oxford the meeting, and perhaps the bonus point as well.
Yeah, it was Brian Carger from the start, using all his experience, but the young Lucas Dremel just made a lovely first corner, dived up the inside, and he's looking good at the moment. He's keeping an eye on Brian Carger. He knows that Brian Carger's got all the experience. He keeps taking a little look back, just keep an eye on him, but at the moment he's going away with it and looking pretty smooth.
Well, what a night Mark Lemon's had. This is his 7th ride of the night. He's going to get a point into the bag here, Mark Lemon, and certainly out front in red. He'd be pleased with Lucas Dremel, who's going to get, for him, his second heat victory of the night. And Lucas Dremel in the red helmet colours is going very, very well. The checkered flag beckons to the man who'll be in the Czech Grand Prix on Saturday. He wins that in red ahead of in green, Brian Carger in second place. Third place in blue goes to Mark Lemon. That's 4 points to 2 in favour of the home team Oxford. It's now 45-38, enough to win the meeting. But as we go to the final race, the bonus point is still very much up for grabs. They shake hands, but Lucas Dremel was good enough to win that ahead of Brian Carger and Mark Lemon for that 4-2. And Oxford lead 45-38 going into the final race. We've had some great races so far. There's one more to come, and the bonus point is still very much up for grabs.
Yeah, we can see Lucas Dremel there pulling a few wheelies. He's looking very pleased with himself, and so he should. He's pulled a lovely move on Brian Carger there. Brian's got a lot of experience, but Lucas showing him the way in the end. You can take a look at the start here. You can see off gate 2, Brian Carger's the one that's actually made the start. It's pulled clear at that point, and he's gone for the same move as Lee Adams in the previous race. He's gone for that dirt line, and the dirt line's a little bit wetter than it was. Hasn't quite worked. Lucas Dremel's moved his way through up the inside, and he's now just edged ahead of Brian Carger, and he's going for the win now. Second look at the start, Brian Carger there. He's wily old campaigner, made a beautiful start, but we can see Lucas Dremel's just outthought him at that point. Brian's had actually put his leg out and slow himself down. Lucas out in front. I know Lucas is looking forward to that Czech Grand Prix. He had a fantastic Grand Prix in Stockholm at the previous one, and he's going to have a lot of home support at that one.
Well, the team managers are in the pits with the toss for the final race with our Jane.
OK, Colin, if you would kindly take the point, do the honours, and call, please.
Heads.
Woo. Heads, and it is. As she rolls, tails.
Tails. We'll take 1 and 3.
1 and 3, and who are you going to put in?
I think it'd be Lee off 1 and Jono off 3.
OK, now your views on this evening. It's been quite interesting, and bonus points still up for grabs.
Exactly. We lost by 6 at their place, so it's still there for us to take. 3-3 will do nicely.
Well, hey, fighting talk. Again, we always see this in Speed Race. And who are you going to put in?
Jason Lyons, Jason Crump.
OK, and your views on this evening, because again, it's been fantastic. Bonus point up for grabs. Colin saying he's going to grab it. What do you think?
I think we've been desperately unlucky tonight. I think we could have won the meeting. Bonus point's important. We're going to go for the bonus point, but I think we could have come away from all 3. It's the only sport I know where there's a foul committed, deliberate or not, you don't go down the other end and put the ball on the other team's penalty spot. I feel that we've been slightly done out of at least 3 points there.
Oh, not a happy man then.
Not at all.
OK, thanks very much. Well, Jonathan Greeny, what do you think?
Thanks for that. I like the analogy there. A little bit of football there, but it's true. I suppose I can see his point.
Yeah, it was a tough decision,
Yeah.
you know. It did cause them, and as I say earlier on, they've had a couple of times where things haven't gone for Bellevue this evening, and they could have been a lot closer, but end of the day, he'll want to drive back up to Bellevue or Manchester this evening with a bonus point in his pocket, so...
What he didn't tell us, 2 and 4, fine, but we
Yeah.
didn't tell us where Lyons or Crump would line up.
No.
Where would you put him?
I think I'd probably go with Jason off the inside.
Yeah.
And Jason,
Well, I can confirm.
Jason off the inside. Jason Crump off the inside with Jason Lyons on the outside.
Okay. Well, I think that is the case. So.
Okay. Oh well, I wasn't too far away, so that's interesting. But certainly after heat 13, both the Jasons rode beautifully in that race. You know, to come from behind to beat Lee Adams here at Oxford was a great achievement. So. I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining heat 15.
And just to reiterate, the bonus point up for grabs, as you heard, they well, Oxford need to win by 7 points to get that bonus point.
Yeah. So they need a heat winner. You know, they need to have somebody bounce out the traps and hit the front. They'll be looking for Lee Adams to do that, I'm sure. He's the favourite from the Oxford side to do that. Of course, Stevie Johnson can certainly pull out a surprise or two, but I think that this man on screen now, he'll feel quite aggrieved, Jonathan, that he got 5-1 in heat 13. That's not the sort of thing he's used to.
Yeah.
So he'll want to bounce back in heat 15. So,
and every point is vital to Bellevue at the moment, even if it is just 1 bonus point.
But they're having that sort of season, you know, things just aren't quite clicking for them. And even tonight we've seen a scenario where very easily they could have been in with a shout here of a victory. But this guy in that last race, to come around the outside of Lee Adams, really was quite
that's
special.
something you don't see.
No, that really was very special, and I think he'll be a rider that could well be a good addition to the Grand Prix series like next year. You know, he's still involved in the qualifying system for this year.
Well, he's gone all the way through, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's in the grand final, which is going to happen next month. And I think somebody like him could be very good in the Grand Prix series.
Well, there's a confirmation of that Heat 15 lineup. Johnston, Lyons, Adams and Crump. It's a pretty strong lineup. Good on
they're
you
all from Australia.
And they're all from Australia.
Probably all from Mildura.
Yeah, probably all from Mildura. We've even got the promoter down here this weekend.
It's amazing, that place. It just seems to produce people.
I asked them what they grow them on, yeah.
Exactly, you know, but they've got a great track there, and they just produce rider after rider.
All right, let's join Chris Louis and Tony Millard to see who wins that bonus point.
The higher mathematics come into play, providing at least 3 riders finish. There will not be a ride-off. It will be decided on this heat. As you say, 4 Australians. Well, Jason Crump comes from the Gold Coast these days. Jason Lyons and Lee Adams come from Victoria. Steve Johnson from Kalgoorlie in Western Australia. It's the man from Kalgoorlie for Oxford on the inside in red. Jason Lyons from Mildura for Bellevue goes from gate 2. Lee Adams from Mildura in Victoria goes from gate 3 for Oxford. On the outside is the Gold Coast man who was born in Newport, South Wales, Jason Crump, goes from the outside. That's the lineup for an all-Aussie final. Heat 15, 45-38 in favour of the home team Oxford. They lead by 7 points, which will be enough. A 3-all would be enough to win Oxford the bonus point over the 2 legs. The last time our starting marshal moves away with a purpose to take fire, and it's a real flyer from Jason Lyons in the green helmet colour. Crump is at the back and has work to do. Down the outside of the blue helmet colours, that's Lee Adams putting them under pressure. Coming through in red is Johnston, but look at this. If it stays like this, it'll be 3-all for the heat, and the bonus point will go to Oxford, but Crump will put them under pressure surely. Out front, Lyons is under pressure. Crump has work to do at the back.
Great start from Jason Lyons. He's out in front, and I don't think Lee Adams would be too confident about passing him, having already been passed by him in a previous race. But Jason Crump, we're looking at this dice at the back, the all-important dice at the back, and I think Jason Crump is on his way past. He's certainly, yes, he's having a good go.
Well, he's certainly trying, and he is through now in front of the man in red, Steve Johnson. If it stays like this, it'll be 4-2 to Bellevue, and that'll be enough to clinch the bonus point for them. Remember, these bonus points come. Look at this. What a battle out front, because Lee Adams is trying, but he can't quite catch the man in front. And in green, it's won by Jason Lyons, and that was enough with Jason Crump in 3rd place in the yellow helmet colours. Lee Adams getting 2nd in blue, but the 4-2 margin for the visitors from Bellevue was enough to make it 47-42, and that's enough to give the bonus point to Bellevue, and Oxford may win the meeting. But, well, you heard what John Hall had to say. Jason Lyons ahead of Lee Adams, and Jason Crump kept the meeting alive. Oxford 47, Bellevue 42 to end the night. What a race. Well, the lads in the studio have seen it all, and it has been quite a night, Kelvin and Jonathan.
I'll tell you what, they did deserve something at the end of the night, didn't they? They really worked hard tonight.
And Jason Lyons has just been outstanding in his Heat 13 and Heat 15. He really has ridden brilliantly, and you know, that heat was no easy heat, and he just hit the front, and he came under a lot of pressure from Lee Adams, but pulled it off. But John Hall will be partially...
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick look at the league table as it stands. We don't actually have the full result in yet, but as you can see, Poole did win, but we don't actually have the overall thing. But yeah, you can see it. Eastbourne at the top still, Coventry, Wolverhampton 3rd, Poole won tonight, I can confirm that, they're in 4th place, Oxford stay in 5th, and there you see Bellevue still in 8th position, and next Thursday, of course, 7:30.
Important result there for Oxford. You know, they've got a little bit of a cushion now to Peterborough just behind them, so, you know, it was a nice 2 points to pick up tonight. They'll obviously feel a little bit of grief that they didn't pick up all the points, because they desperately wanted that bonus point, but Bellevue showed a lot of grit there at the end of the Heat 15. Just look how hard Jason Crump rode to come from last to 3rd. You know, that's how important it meant to them. So, you know, fair play to them. They didn't give up right to the end.
All in all, a good meeting. Thanks, Kelvin. Yep. And let's take a look at the promos for what was coming up. And as we mentioned already, it is Ipswich Witches against the Poole Pirates next week on Sky Sports 1. That one at 7:30.
Scotty Nichols and Tony Ricardson there.
Yep, and of course then on Sky Sports Extra on Saturday, 6 o'clock, that's this Saturday, the Czech Grand Prix Round 6. We really have got a real festival of speed coming your way, because on Sunday it's the Premier League 14 tournament, Sky Sports 1. And I've got a friend of mine who's in that.
Yeah, I think I might be there.
That's who I was thinking of.
Exactly, yeah. It's
looking forward to it?
Yeah, it's at Coventry at 1 o'clock, and yeah, I am actually. The team's in good form. We're moving up the league, and it's, yeah, very much so. I think that there's a really good spirit in the arena camp at the moment, and all the guys have been talking about it, so let's hope we can do a big performance.
Thanks, Calvin. Well, you know the World Cup squad, it's coming up, of course, and the Elite League, well, it's still wide open. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at the weekend and next week.
Good night.